From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. Steve and Rye, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Reds, the Toon and the Cat.
Hey! Yeah. Oh, what a result, lads. What a result. Never doubt the Mags, even with
the
all the team
1%
out.
Man City.
Hey, I tell you what, unbelievable result, lad. Unbelievable result. We're going to come
Good
to it,
win, mate.
during
Good,
the
very
show,
good
but
win.
Yeah, 1-0 in front of the nation, live on Sky. Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 0, into the next round of the Carabao Cup. Dumped out the treble winners. Pep looked sick. He had to get a bus home as well. Couldn't fly back because of Storm Agnes. If Carlsberg made Wednesday nights, lads, that would be it. What a result.
Take it, you're happy then. Take it, you're happy,
I
mate.
love that one.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm disappointed is we didn't get Middlesbrough. We didn't get the dream Geordies against Smoggies in the next round. That would have been fantastic, lads. But we're going to have to do it the hard way, aren't we? We're going to have to do it the hard way to get to. We're both going to have to get to Wembley on different paths. And the draw wasn't very kind to Newcastle. Manchester United away, but it brings up the intriguing. Revenge mission, doesn't it? We don't get a chance to do it at Wembley. We'll have to go and do it at Old Trafford in their backyard. Go and spank Ten Hag's boys in their own backyard. It's just a great night. And as I say, done it with a squad which a lot of people have been scratching their heads at the start, going, how on earth are Newcastle going to progress? Eddie Howe's not taking this game seriously. I heard a lot of that kind of crack before the game when people saw the team. Paul Dummett hadn't played since spring 2022. Jamal Lascelles hasn't played a game, for about the same amount of time. That was our centre half pairing last night. Matt Targett can't get a game for love nor money either. He was left back. And right back, £36 million, Tino Livramento, who, has only really had a couple of, substitute appearances. He started at right back. We looked at that back four and thought, Manchester City, no matter who they've got, are going to tear us apart. But I tell you what, Tino Livramento deserved the chorus of Tino around the ground last night, because he was deservedly man of the match. But we were talking off air as well, and you guys both appreciate the fact that Anthony Gordon once again came on and changed the game.
Made a big difference.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's done it 2 games in a row now. It's incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable, lads. But listen, you take it in context. It's been a difficult few weeks at the start of the season for Newcastle. We knew it would be difficult start of the season, difficult fixture list. But now here we are, 4 games later, 4 clean sheets, squad rotation, injuries. Abound as well. But Newcastle, 4 clean sheets, 4 wins, 3 wins, 1 draw in the Champions League, through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. It's a good time to be a Newcastle fan. Only concern is injuries. We know that Wilson was out last night. It's a hamstring concern. It's nothing major, but it's a strain, which is always a worry with Callum Wilson. Isak went off last night as well. There was groans around the Gallagher when we saw him go off, but he assured us in his after-match interview that he's okay, which is a good sign. Maybe he just went off as a precaution. But look, we are going to be tested with all the games we've got to play. Luckily a bit of a rest now for the Carabao Cup. We don't have to play the next game until the week commencing the 30th of October. We've got a month for that. But it's been a good week, lads. It's been a really good week for both Newcastle and Middlesbrough, and long may it continue, because that means we can get up on the morning and be very happy, lads.
Aye.
I completely and utterly agree, and we don't have to talk about Sunderland either, because they're not in the cup, are they? You poor Mackams, you.
They're not even on the show.
You don't have to deal. Don't even have to deal with all the away cup fixtures that Middlesbrough seem to be getting after getting Drew to Exeter away. Middlesbrough just literally cannot buy a home ground game in the Carabao Cup, can we? But look, it was a great game. I watched the Newcastle Man City game. It was a tale of 2 halves for me, and obviously we saw. Man City pretty much dominant in the first half, but oh my goodness, at 45 minutes when Gordon and even Bruno came on as well, just changed the dynamic for Newcastle. And good to see old Nick Pope in goal as well. He must be just so ecstatic at the moment is Nick Pope, because he's just playing everywhere and everything, and he's doing, ecstatic things. So, it was a good game. But, yeah, Middlesbrough away to Exeter away again. But, again, like Steve said, we've got about a month now to work it into our fixtures.
To charge up those electric car batteries for the long journey. Tell you what, Steve, you'll have, if you get to Wembley, you'll have done it the hard way. If we get to Wembley, we'll have done the hard slog. We'll have done about 19,500 miles to get there. Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I know with us being in the north, it's expected we're going to have to do the most journeys, but it's just one of those things. And look, the Carabao Cup is I think the most important thing for me is that Eddie Howe took it seriously last night. He clearly did his homework. He clearly
was it 6 changes?
10
changes. Oh, 10 changes. 10. Yes, that's right.
8 changes. 8 changes for Man City. 10 changes for Newcastle.
For City. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up.
And both teams clearly, knew their jobs. I mean, let's face it. First off, Newcastle soaked up the pressure. 76% possession, I think it was, for Man City in that first half. Newcastle, I watched the highlights back. Don Goodman was constantly mentioning the fact that Newcastle hadn't got a pass in Man City's half for 30 minutes in the first half.
He was loving it.
But it was clearly the plan. It was clearly the plan. Newcastle decided in the first half, we will put a team out that defends. And in the second half, we'll make the substitutions. We'll bring on Gordon, we'll bring on Bruno, and that'll change the dynamics in the game. It's a risk. It's a gamble. But it was a plan. And that's what you want to see. And it paid off. That's what you want to see. And Pep, it's always difficult to read him. But his after-match interview, he had that look on his face, didn't he? He had that almost, well, it's the Carabao Cup. I'm not really that bothered. I said before.
Don't really care.
But it did grind on him. And I listened to what he said, and he wasn't derogatory to Newcastle. He wasn't derogatory to Eddie Howe. He was very complimentary, and said, they did this and we didn't, they more or less admitted Newcastle got more, more physical. They got stuck in the second half, which they did. I mean, there was that wonderful moment where Isak ran, challenged to win a throw-in, and then just basically celebrated in front of the Gallagher, wound the crowd up as if he'd scored a goal. And that's what got the crowd going as well. Never underestimate the power of a northeast crowd, whether it be Newcastle, Middlesbrough or Sunderland. There is strength in depth with that +1, the 12th man, and that was what Newcastle got last night. Because the first half, people were sitting on their hands after that first 15, 20 minutes.
It's quiet, wasn't it, first half?
Yeah,
it was.
People were watching the game. They were engrossed in the games. But they were also nervous. They were waiting for Manchester City to score. Had Haaland been on the pitch, maybe they would have, but he wasn't. They lacked in midfield, there's no doubt about it. We talked about it yesterday. Rodri suspended was always going to create a gaping hole in that midfield, especially with Kevin De Bruyne being injured. It was an opportunity for Calvin Phillips to come in and to try and stake a place. Now, Pep said he thought he played well last night. I didn't think he played well at all, and especially when he was up against 17-year-old Lewis Miley, who I thought I don't think he froze. I think he tried to do the simple stuff, and he did that well. But 45 minutes in a big game against the treble winners for him was a hell of a baptism of fire. I think he coped okay with it. Lewis Hall again. I've seen a few people on social media having a pop at Lewis Hall, saying, well, he doesn't look that good. Lewis Hall played 3 different positions last night, and I genuinely felt that Lewis Hall, in each of those positions, showed that we've got somebody who's versatile and who's definitely going to be a valuable player moving forward in the future. I think he's certainly better going forward. I think we've potentially got England's next 2 fullbacks, left and right, in Hall and Livramento. I think we've really done well. If we can keep a hold of Hall, I think that's a great acquisition. Tonali, another one under the spotlight last night, because he, with the exception of the Aston Villa game, he hasn't really had the opportunity to flourish and play the game as he would like to. He's clearly been hampered by a slight injury. Hasn't trained a great deal. Obviously, he's moved to England from Italy, so he's got the language barrier, which is still something which is clearly causing him an issue. He got 90 minutes under his belt last night. I thought he looked great. Again, he's not what people are expecting. He's not. He's not like a creative midfield player. He's not going to do Bruno-esque things on the ball. But what he does is he spoils play. He stops play. He gets stuck in. He doesn't panic, and he picks a pass. A couple of his passes last night were wayward, if I'm going to be critical of him. But overall, I thought Tonali had a good game. He showed why we spent the money on him, and he's only going to get better, But I think Isak again last night was back to his best. I mean, he got the winning goal, but at times he was unplayable. He did a lot of hard work in the midfield. He came back, he won the ball, he made it awkward for Calvin Phillips and co at Man City. And I just, overall it was one of those nights where when you watch the game, there was so many things going on. There were so many people to watch, so much going on, and so much to dissect. And a lot of people are very critical of Jamal Lascelles. I thought he had a good game again last night, and I mean, the bottom line is the biggest compliment you can pay Lascelles and Dummett as an unplayed centre half pairing is that we kept a clean sheet against the treble winners. Nick Pope, albeit that Man City had 76% possession in the first half, didn't really have a great deal to do. Man City didn't create a great deal. In the final third, they were very poor, and the fact that we didn't see Haaland was probably the fact that they weren't creating anything, and Pep didn't want to lose him to an injury in a cup game, with nothing going on. So I can see why I didn't bring him on. I've got to admit that I don't think he was that bothered about it at the end of the game. Eddie Howe, though, clearly focused on all competitions and concentrating on the next game, wouldn't get drawn into anything about the Carabao Cup and want to go back to Wembley. Focused now on Burnley at the weekend, concerned of course about injuries, but despite the fact we've got a few injuries creeping up, we've still got a big squad, and we've still got options. And Joe Linton last night, it was the surprise inclusion, I think, other than Lewis Miley, because I touched on it yesterday. I didn't quite give us an exclusive, but I did say that he'd been training, and I dropped that little pearl of wisdom in yesterday because I felt potentially he could play, and sure enough he played, and it looked like he'd never been away. So Joe Linton, a fully fit Joe Linton, comes back in, obviously with other people injured. And of course, let's not forget, lads, Mystic Wraith is back. Those people.
Following on, mate. Following on hot from the Mystic Roberts.
Yeah, following on from Mystic Roberts.
Yeah.
But I did predict yesterday, lads. I thought you would have had it teed up this morning. 1-0, Dave. 1-0. 1-0 was my prediction. So if you did go to
what was mine? And what was mine?
You said penalties, I think.
No. That was you 24 hours earlier, mate. That was you 24 hours earlier.
Was it Rye who said penalties yesterday?
If you wanted me to play it back, you'd have heard me say, for once in my life, Steve Wraith.
That's right, you did.
I'm going to agree with you 1-0.
Once in my life.
So it was Rye who said penalties.
I think I said penalties. I'm not sure. I have to go back in the tail of the tape.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you did say
Newcastle
would win. You did say
did.
would win. But I mean, you watched it, Rye. You watched it, Rye.
Yeah, the surprise for me, I guess, and obviously coming from a Middlesbrough fan here, was seeing Paul Dummett after 13 months out. I thought he played amazing. I mean, 13 months out, and to see Eddie Howe in the presser as well say, like, that's why I was so desperate to keep him in the summer, even though he probably was going to be a bit part player. But to see Paul Dummett just like rock up and after 13 months out and lead the line, I thought that was a brilliant sort of return for him. And look, it wasn't a Man City team to be sneezed at. I mean, Alvarez has been incredible up front, both in country and club. I mean, they got Jack Grealish, Mateo Kovacic, Calvin Phillips. If this is their 1% squad, I'd take it at Middlesbrough any day of the week, I tell you, because, and they're bringing Phil Foden in and stuff like that. So still the depth there for Man City. But look, it was a tale of two halves, like I said. The first half seemed to be dominated by Man City, but like Steve said, it seemed to be a gamble or a planned tactician, because and if it was, then it was incredible by Howe, because 45 minutes gone, we see Bruno and Gordon come on, and Gordon again, he's incredible.
Something special, I think.
He is going to be very, very good. I've seen him twice now in a row, obviously against Sheffield United and now coming on against Man City, and oh my goodness, he just changes the game. He just takes it on. He's got no fear. He's easy to be spotted with the bright blonde hair as well, and he's just he's just a pace machine. So yeah, no, very well done to Newcastle getting on to the next round. And obviously the two Manchesters, can they knock out both Manchesters? for Middlesbrough, who will be in the final. That'd be great if you could take care of that, Newcastle. Appreciate that as we go the long mile trip to get to the final, because that week, Middlesbrough fans, it's going to be, and I feel for you, and I wish I had the private jet. Steve's still looking into it for me, but that week in the EFL Cup, obviously the 31st of October, the poor Boro fans, we've got Exeter City now away on the 31st of October, followed right behind that is the Plymouth Argyle away trip on the 5th of November in the Cup. So we're going Exeter City, 31st of October, and the very next game is Plymouth Argyle away. So an absolute incredible journey for Boro fans in that week break there. So
I think the club should book a few rooms on Airbnb and stay down there. Yeah,
not wrong. Yeah, not wrong. So you got Exeter and Plymouth within a week of each other now. So thanks for that, Carabao Cup. I hope the ball comes out and says it was wrong and we end up getting Newcastle at home or something like that. That'd be great.
No, Newcastle at Wembley. That's where it is. It's Newcastle Borough at Wembley.
It does look like it's going
all the way.
That.
And Eddie's going to field a weakened team, and we're going to do it on penalties, because we've mentioned penalties twice this week, and none of them came off. So,
no, that's
Steve,
true.
you mentioned Eddie. You mentioned Pep, and he was complimentary about Newcastle. Should we have a listen?
Yeah.
Here he is.
With the first and the second, they increased aggressivity, and they were more aggressive. They scored a goal, but we were there all the game. And comparing last season, we were out against Southampton. Like we were not there today. We were, and very pleased for the performance. And congratulations from the Newcastle. You are going to prepare the next games.
So, congratulations to Newcastle.
He's grumpy.
He is, isn't he? He didn't like it.
He's grumpy,
but look, give him some credit. He's come out and said, look, they put in a decent shift.
It was the thought of that train journey, the bus journey, back down the M62.
I think he'd just been told that, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. We can't fly back, boss. Why not? We'll get us a train. There are none.
Yeah.
Helicopter?
You're on a bus, Man City. Yeah. Oh, he was not happy. And he's like talking about how buses can... Do you hear him say? He goes... Buses can cause more injuries for my players.
I know.
I mean, last time I was on a bus, I did pull a hammy. I remember that. So,
it's
going and getting up to push the bell.
It's that first step, mate. You take that first step, you can pull a fetlock really badly.
I know. It's not a private jet, I tell you, where you're not getting the champagne served. That bus, I tell you, I feel for you, Pep. I'm really sorry, mate.
Fair play to Tino Livramento, though. I will continue to wax lyrical about him, because there's no doubt about it. To come in, and the biggest compliment you can pay him is we didn't miss Kieran Trippier last night.
True.
And that means that Trippier now has got great competition for his place. Not only in the Carabao Cup, but in the Premier League and in the Champions League. We've got a wonderful player there, and I think at £36 million he's a snip. It was an impressive performance and a grateful debut for him. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. And look, it's something to build on.
Who was your man of the match?
Tino. There's no doubt about it. For somebody to make a full debut like that, it's the most impressive full debut I've seen since in recent times since Kieran Trippier's since Kieran Trippier came on, because he oozed class. And you think as well, the kid's come back from a cruciate ligament injury as well, so he hasn't played much football, but he grew into the game. He really did. And I mentioned earlier as well, I mean, Lewis Miley is an outstanding talent. He's got real potential. You can see why Eddie Howe trusted him to play. He doesn't just give opportunities for the sake of it. He doesn't just say, I'll give you a run out because it's the Carabao Cup. There's no doubt about it that Miley has earned that, and he's going to grow from it. What better experience? There was a Man City player last night who really impressed in the first half with a wonderful name and haircut, Oscar Bob.
I love that guy.
And it's not a Bob haircut. It's not a Bob haircut.
It sounds like the High Street Barber, though, doesn't it?
It does. But I tell you what a cracking little player. He dominated the midfield in the first half. That kid is 17, 18, and he's already won the treble.
17. Yeah.
What a cracking little player. He overshadowed Phillips in the first half, I felt. There was some wonderful little touches, some wonderful little moves. was one little step over he did, which I was like, wow, and you know, a cheeky little dummy which sent one of our players the wrong way. So yeah, I mean, look, it was a good performance from him. So when you were looking at some of the players on display last night, you were thinking, wow, you know, both teams have got some quite good strength and depth. So it's
He's another Norwegian as well. He's another Norwegian. He's Oscar Bob. So he's there with Haaland and playing with Odegaard as well in the national team. So yeah, Man City got some Norwegians on their hands, that's for sure.
Yeah, quite a performance. First half anyway from him. Second half he was overshadowed, I think. And again, we've not really mentioned Bruno. You mentioned him a bit earlier. He did come on at the same time as Gordon, because Gordon had so much of an impact. The work that Bruno was doing didn't really seem to get a mention. But he played well. But like Eddie Howe now, you know, it's that game's in the past. We know now that we've got a game against Manchester United in the next round at the back end of October. We've got to refocus now, regroup, and look ahead to Burnley, which is Saturday, a good old-fashioned 3:00 kick-off as well.
No complaints that the balls are rigged. Manchester United coming out the hat.
I've got a complaint that John Goodman was doing the draw.
So they warmed those two balls up so you could feel them. We'll have those two together.
Don Goodman and Neil Lennon, two players who haven't got much thought for Newcastle.
Yeah. What can we do? What can we do to scupper them? Yeah, we'll give them Manchester United at home.
Lennon was laughing as well. Lennon was laughing.
Trafford. Yeah.
Lennon was laughing at Goodman, saying, "I wouldn't want to be you. Wouldn't want to be you now pulling Manchester United out for Newcastle." But yeah, look, it's if you're going to win the cup, you've got to beat the teams. There could have been, you know, I think if it had been Liverpool away, I think I probably would have been more disappointed. I think Manchester United away is a winnable game. You know, the beauty of this cup and why it's more exciting is that there's no replays. It's not a replay competition anymore. There's no extra time. That means that teams have got to go for the jugular during the game, and that's what you've got to do. Manchester United will come at Newcastle. There'll be gaps to exploit at Old Trafford, and for me, you know, I can see, depending on who's available, although after last night's performance, does it really matter? But, you know, depending on who's available, I think Newcastle could go there and get a comprehensive win. So we will wait and see. There's a lot of football to be played before that game comes up. I mean, you know, same for Manchester United. We've got lots of European fixtures to face. But yeah, look, it is exciting. It's an exciting time to be a Newcastle fan. Really, really is. And
really exciting to be a Boro fan in this competition, because we're through the semi-finals, because we're beating Exeter, and then we're pulling out the winner of Mansfield Town against Port Vale at the Riverside, and we're in the semi-finals. Then anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And we're winning it.
Yeah, we're winning it. And we're getting private jets for all the players, that's for sure, with the money we're going to win from Carabao Cup. I'm telling you, it's going to change our club.
Right,
yeah,
I'm telling you, you get £10.50 in a packet of crisps for winning this round.
I tell you what, Mansfield and Port Vale must be rubbing their hands as well, lads, mind, because they must be looking at that thinking they've just won the lottery.
Yeah,
because one of those teams will be in the quarterfinals, which is absolutely crazy. And Chelsea, we were talking about them yesterday on the show, managed to scrape a win against Brighton. Lucky Chelsea last night.
The old Mystic Mag didn't come to the fore there, did it?
No, I did think Brighton
were going to win as well.
Yeah, we all went for it. We all went for it. Yeah.
And Everton on a bit of a run as well. I mean, going to Villa didn't have a bad team last night.
It was interesting, that one.
Back-to-back wins for Everton, which is going to cheer up everybody down in Merseyside.
Do you feel like, as a Newcastle fan, Steve, you kind of like give us a break with the draws you've been getting in the cups? I mean, obviously the Champions League Cup is the Champions League is that you're going to get, you know, a tough team no matter what, but you would have arguably got one of the toughest groups there. And you got the Carabao Cup. You've started at Man City, now Man United as well. Do you feel like Newcastle's draws this season have just been? Is there a sense from Newcastle fans of give us a break, or is it just like, nah, we'll take on the best?
I just think you just take what's put in front of you, don't you? At the end of the day, that's all you can do. The draws aren't rigged. It doesn't. It just feels like that at times. But Newcastle fans have got to accept that we're at the top table now, and you know we you know we're not a sleeping giant anymore. We've woken up and we're at the top table, and we've got to give a good account of ourselves, which we did last night. I think, and I'll keep harping on about it, I'm sure, over the next couple of days. But you know, the fact that we picked the team that we picked, and they all still had the same ethos, they all still had the same work rate, they all still had the same fitness levels, they all knew what they were doing. You know, shows that, you know, Eddie Howe, you know, when you know, training sessions, he can, you know, his message is getting across. And it's as simple as that, you know. There's a pride. You know, there was a flag used to be up in Newcastle for years. You know, we just want a team that tries. Well, we've got that now. We haven't just got a team that tries. We've got a squad that tries. Everybody knows their job. Nobody is better than anybody else. Everybody's helping each other out, and it just makes it so much easier when you have a team, you know, performing like that. So it's just sometimes it is, when you're standing there at St James's Park, it's you're scratching your heads thinking, you know, I can't believe where we were a couple of years ago watching Bruce Ball, but now we're watching this. We're watching incredible. You know, this a while ago would have been looked at as a freak result. Newcastle beating Manchester City. This would have been a cup shock. Now it's well, you know, battle of two big guns, and Newcastle's won this time. It's as simple as that. And you know, Pep's always known that the takeover at Newcastle would mean that one day Newcastle would be, you know, a rival, and that
there's another one up there. Yeah,
that day's come now. Newcastle are starting to, you know, I think a lot of journalists were looking at this thinking last season Newcastle had a bit of luck. They weren't in Europe, and you know, they're going to be found out this year. I think Eddie Howe's he's created a different dimension. You know, I think we're still all trying to work it out, but you've got to have faith in them. There's a steeliness about the team. There's a steeliness about the squad. They do get stuck in. They do become more aggressive at times. But we're also not afraid, if we're going to defend for a period of the game, we're prepared to sit back and then try and catch a team on the counter attack, which is what he did yesterday. And years ago, fans would have got on the team's back for that. But I think, yes, there was a silence around the ground for periods in that first half, but people were just intrigued. There wasn't a nervousness. I think people were just intrigued as to what was happening and what was playing out in front of them. People felt there might have been a plan, and of course the plan was unleashed in the second half, and you know, the rest is history. But
you've killed me. You've killed me.
I've killed you.
Yeah, I had a one-liner already, and that monologue that you've just delivered killed me, because you were saying, you know, for once they're all pulling in the same direction. They know what jobs to do. You know, we want a team that tries. We've got that. You know, you listed all those, and I was going to say, just like the days under Steve Bruce, and then you killed me by saying far different from Bruce Ball. Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to deliver the killer blow, and you took it away from me.
Yeah, Bruce Ball. I mean, I'm sure he'll have something to say about this. I'm sure that we'll have to thank him at some point for what happened last night. I'm sure there'll be some kind of, well, Paul Dummett. I always rated Paul Dummett. I gave him a new contract. Wouldn't have played last night's game if I hadn't given him a new contract. Or, you know, there'll be some.
Did you say bacon?
Yeah, did it? How's the bacon? How's the bacon?
Was that bacon? Yeah, is that what you said?
How's the bacon?
Sorry, I tuned out. Obviously, the Newcastle. I thought I heard bacon. Sorry, continue, Steve. My bad.
There was another one which I couldn't find yesterday, where he started, for some reason, just started going. I couldn't understand a word he said. I can't find it. I will find it, lads. I'll unleash it on the breakfast show one morning.
There's one going forward for the show. We should look at managers' traits during press conferences.
We should actually.
You got Mogger with his sweets. You got Steve Bruce with his bacon. What else have we got? We must be able to find some crackers out there. Must be some belters.
Pep with his complaints at the moment. Quickly before we get to the ads, I just want to leave stuff. We did have other results around the grounds in the Carabao Cup, and just quickly, we saw Liverpool beat Leicester 3-1 there. And if you have a chance, ladies and gentlemen, get on social media and check out. I'm going to butcher his name, but I apologise. But Dominic Zobalazia.
Yeah, well done.
Zozbala, there it is. Watch his goal. It is a cracker of a goal, that one. Blackburn beat Cardiff 5-2. Can you believe that in the Championship? Lincoln have lost to West Ham 1-0, so Lincoln City bow out after a good little cut run. Good on you, Lincoln. And then Chelsea have beaten Brighton. Can you believe it? Chelsea have scored. That's right. Break down the ball. break down the barriers, get all the news articles out because Chelsea are on the board. They have scored a goal and they have beaten Brighton 1-0. Bournemouth beat Stoke 2-0. Brentford have lost to Arsenal in a game we saw Aaron Ramsdale back in goal for Arsenal as well. Interesting subject there. Arsenal have beaten Brentford 1-0. Aston Villa, like Steve said, have lost to Everton. Everton on a bit of a resurgence. Sean Dyche turning the page there. Everton have beaten Aston Villa 2-1. Fulham beat Norwich 2-1. And obviously Newcastle beating Man City 1-0.
And the interesting one for me there is Arsenal's win at Brentford, because that's who Newcastle will pull out of the hat away from home in the next draw.
It will be.
Yeah.
It will be.
Yeah, telling you.
The way their draws are getting this year, they will be. Don't worry. They'll have, they're getting the PSGs, the AC Milans, the Arsenals, the Man Uniteds. They keep taking them out for us, and we'll Middlesbrough just keep riding on that little away trip bandwagon all the way to the final.
We'll just do the miles. You know, you can have the hard games. We'll have the hard slog on the road. Yeah. That's it. And then we'll meet at Wembley, which again is equally as long for us to have to travel for a game. Yeah, indeed. And no doubt the EFL will have some crazy idea about playing it as an 8 o'clock kick-off, and none of the fans can get home on a train afterwards. Lots to chat about. I mean, we've got huge amounts. We've still got the news headlines to do, fellas. All that sort of good stuff. And Caroline, who was doing early breakfasts on the Red this morning, got a great question that was thrown at her by Joe, and it's one for all of us, really, and the Sunderland representative, had we had one. Would you rather win the Cup or get promoted? Obviously, that was angled towards the Boro. I'll twist it ever so slightly for our Newcastle friends. Would you rather win the Cup or get out of the group stage of the Champions League?
Win the Cup, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Got to win the Cup, lads. No domestic trophy since 1955. No European trophy
you got to
since
shut the Smoggies up, haven't you? You shut the Smoggies up about Cardiff and this very competition when we lifted it.
And we don't listen to the Mackems and their Papa John pizza, whatever it is, as well. So if someone gets a new.
and a reminder, we do need a Mackem on the show. We're still looking for that Mackem to join us. We did have Macca. He's no longer with us. So if you're a Mackem Sunderland fan, you want to come on here every morning, Monday through to Friday, join the team. Have the crack, the banter, defend your corner, poke fun at Steve Wraith and the Mags, then this is the place to be. Give us a shout. Because, of course, we're just that small town in Yorkshire, right? And, it's the Mags and the Mackems don't consider Boro part of the North East, but there you go. We know different.
No.
We were the last one to get our hands on a big piece of silverware.
Exactly.
So, just get in touch.
Keep being jealous.
Indeed. You can email the cat. hello@thecatuk.com. That's hello@thecatuk.com. Or like Joe this morning, you can send us a WhatsApp message into the studio and get your comments in this morning. Come on, Newcastle fans, what about last night? Tell us how proud you are. 0330 043 2002. That's 0330 043 2002.
Steve and Rye, the Northeast Footy Breakfast.
Right across the Northeast, the Red, the Cat and the Tune.
Now then, do you do sales? Do you fancy a great career challenge? Well, the Red, the Cat and the Tune has a full-time vacancy for a special sales exec. Not only will you be responsible for generating the vital revenue needed to see the Northeast's newest radio business grow, but you'll grow too. Show us you can do the business and you'll soon become Group Sales Director. Our stations are flying. We have the three legends back on air. Then there's the one that most are talking about, the Northeast Footy Brekkie Show. And there's more to come. Gumption and creativity count more to us than years. You may only have 2 or 3 years selling experience, but if you get what we're trying to achieve, you will be the right fit. You'll ideally be located in Tyneside or Wearside. This will be a hybrid working role. It's a full-time basic plus commission position. So come on, think you have what it takes? Then give us a shout. Email any of the three stations. That's hello@thetuneuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Clark,
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Hignett,
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Williams,
A first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester. It was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking the ball with it as well. I thought it was just for standing up.
across the Northeast. It's the three legends.
Fridays at 6 on the Cat, the Red and the Toon.
Steve and Rye, the Northeast Footy Breakfast.
Right across the northeast, the Red, the Cat and the Toon.
Young Samuel. We're just giving it a Newcastle theme, which Steve will be happy about. Rye will be absolutely... I can't say what Rye's going to be.
I need Boro.
We'll get
I need to
off.
talk Boro.
We'll be there. Don't you worry. We'll be there. Absolutely. We'll do it. Is everybody back, by the way?
All back.
We're all back. Yeah,
Ready to go.
Should we let people into our little secret that when you hear music, we all disappear off to the toilet because we're obviously on a continent. We can't hold it in that long.
We got trained bladders.
That's it. Trained to hear music, then it reacts. So we got to run pretty quickly when it hears music. What are we doing, fellas? I think it's high time. We haven't done the news headlines yet.
No, we've got too much to talk about.
Too much to talk about.
We have. We've had too much of Livramento for the first half of the show, so we need to talk into some Middlesbrough headlines.
Some Middlesbrough headlines. Okay, then here we go.
Hey, we got some good background music for your morning, Boro fans. It is Rye. I hope you're all fantastic, safe and well, and still up on the high. We've seen Middlesbrough being drawn to Exeter City in the away once again, Boro fans, after the Carabao Cup. But here is your headlines for this morning. Dale Fry, the legend, hopes that 2 wins on the bounce can be the start of Middlesbrough's charge and says head coach Michael Carrick is stressing the importance of his side getting into a winning habit. After a disappointing start to the campaign, Boro have now followed their first league win against Southampton at the weekend with a comfortable victory in the Carabao Cup third round at Bradford on Tuesday night. Carrick's side are now preparing for a league trip to Watford on Saturday, where they'll look to extend their unbeaten run in all competitions to 4 games. Can you believe it, Boro fans? And Fry, who captained Boro at the Valley Parade, said he's been able to sense a boost in the dressing room on the back of positive results. The gaffer said to us after the Bradford game that he wants to go on a good cup run, said Fry. I think last season we were really good on the ball, but off the ball, sometimes we lost concentration. Now, the gaffer has been drilling into us that if we want to get into the team and stay in the team, we've got to be really good off the ball, disciplined and organised. So Dale Fry, a little bit of insight there into what's changed at Middlesbrough, trying to get it to click. And Middlesbrough boss Michael Carrick was also delighted to see summer signing Alex Gilbert make his Boro debut in Tuesday night's 2-0 win over Bradford. The former Brentford winger arrived on Teesside in the summer but has not been seen in Boro colours until last night's win at Valley Parade. However, Carrick has introduced the 21-year-old as a second-half substitute for Riley McGree and was pleased with his contribution. Carrick had to say that this was Alex's first game tonight and it was a big night for him and I'm very delighted. He joined us from Brentford's second team and it was important for him to come in tonight and be a part of it. We're very patient with Alex, said Carrick. He trains well and is a big part of the group, but he's looking for opportunities just like everybody else. They will come at some stage. He's just got to keep working hard, keep developing, which is what he is doing at the moment. So a little bit of insight there, Boro fans, into what maybe has clicked. It's a lot more concentration and discipline off the ball, says Michael Carrick in his press conference. And Dale Fry, a little bit of insight there as well as we go on to Watford on the weekend. That is your Middlesbrough headlines.
Do I really have to? We need that Mackem on the show because I've now got to talk over this.
I've just got to go do a pee.
Yeah, okay. Sunderland have announced they're going to put on a beanback for the lads' Friday night clash at Sheffield Wednesday. Supporters can soak up the live match atmosphere in the newly refurbished Quinn's Sports Bar. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Tickets are priced £5, which includes a free drink upon arrival. That's not bad, actually, is it? £5 to get in, you get a free drink as well. A couple of quid to watch the match.
Cheesy chips.
Ah, there you go. Tony Mowbray says the summer signing Hemi has got some learning to do. Mogger wants the 20-year-old striker to learn about his responsibilities when he doesn't have the ball. Yep, there's a line there somewhere, but I just can't think of one. Hemia joined the Black Cats from Benfica, where he played for the B team and the youth sides. He started Sunderland's opening championship fixture against Ipswich, but has only figured from the bench since. Meanwhile, the Black Cats boss has hinted Patrick Roberts could be back in the starting 11 as soon as this weekend. Roberts has come on as the sub in the last three fixtures since suffering a hamstring injury, not on a coach, on the pitch, in the 2-1 win over Rotherham in August. Moggers admitted to sharing a joke with the 26-year-old after the victory over the Saints, saying how can he change that team, but has hinted he's not going to be long before Roberts makes his return. Over to the Newcastle side, like
Well, Newcastle United are through to the next round of the Carabao Cup after beating treble winners Manchester City at St James's Park last night. It was the proverbial game of two halves, with the visitors dominating the first 45 minutes. The introduction of the informed Anthony Gordon at the start of the second half changed the Magpies' fortunes, and it was striker Alexander Isak who scored the only goal of the game to send Eddie Howe's team into the next round. Match winner Alexander Isak was an injury concern last night after being substituted after scoring the decisive goal, but he allayed fears of an injury layoff after the game, telling Sky Sports News that he was feeling okay and he wasn't concerned by the calf injury. And Newcastle United will face Manchester United in the fourth round after former Sunderland striker Don Goodman pulled number 16 out in the draw last night. They'll face the team that beat them in last year's final at Old Trafford, week commencing 30th of October. That's all the news from the Toon.
Ah. Right, is that the show finished? Can we go home now?
Bye.
Nah, joking. I wonder how many people are there serious going, have they gone? Have they gone? Have they gone?
Off you go, see you.
I tell you what, a little side note from that, Rye. Pep Guardiola admitted he's failed to get the best from Calvin Phillips. How does a player recover from that kind of statement, right?
What
from
a kick
the
in
manager?
the plebs that is, isn't it?
Yeah, and then obviously we see him last night. I don't know how you're meant to pick yourself up as Calvin. So yeah, if you haven't heard, Pep's come out, and obviously there's a lot of speculation around Calvin Phillips. The poor lad hasn't had the best run since moving to Man City. It hasn't been very much in the first team at all. Still part of Gareth Southgate's plans. Shocked me though, with Gareth and his chosen ones, but. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it's been doing too well for Calvin, but Pep has said he's failed to get the best out of Calvin, but is happy to have him at Man City at the moment because he's got a baby on the way. So that was a bit of an interesting take, I thought, from your coach when you said, look, I can't get the best out of him, but happy to have him here and pay his wages because he's got a baby on the way. So good on you, Pep. That was what a vote of confidence that would be for poor Calvin. I thought last night he was overshadowed as well, and you could see that he's nowhere near his best, and obviously consecutive football matches and consistency is obviously key, and when you've got a lot going on in your personal life, it can obviously be when you rock up for the first team, it can obviously be a bit of a struggle. But I can't see how Calvin now can fit into Man City's plans long term, especially after Pep has now just admitted that he's failed. There's no, we've still got months until January, but Pep's literally admitted now that he's failed and he just can't get the best out of him. So I don't know how you're meant to bounce back.
Did either of you guys see Pep's interview after the game? Did you watch it? Because he was asked about Phillips and he had a great game. But did you detect sarcasm in his voice? I did.
Yeah, I did. I mean, he's just literally said that he can't get the best out of him. And then I don't know how you're meant to do that as a young midfielder, in Man City as well. You already know that you're behind the Rodris and all that sort of stuff. But now Rodri's got a red card. Obviously, he's out for a couple of games and stuff. Now I would be sitting there as a young Calvin Phillips going, "This is my chance. I've been waiting for this. Let's show the world what I'm all about." But then the manager comes out and says, "Well, haven't got the best out of him," and it would just be such a kick in the teeth. Kind of like when you get the owners coming in, after the match. We spoke about that yesterday, and having a chat to you, and saying, "Well, I paid this much money for you, mate. What's going on?" You got Pep now saying, I just can't believe it, and I just feel what a kick in the teeth for young Calvin Phillips, who would be still thinking he's got the world at his feet.
I agree. I mean, Pep was asked pre-match as well though about Phillips. Is this the chance? I mean, the narrative on Sky yesterday was all about Calvin Phillips. Is this his chance?
And I think that's why he gave the reaction he did after the game by saying he had a great game. So I think he was just fed up of talking about it.
Yep. Yeah, because he's the manager. He makes the decisions. He works with the players day in, day out. He knows what he's going to get from Calvin Phillips, and clearly Phillips has got a decision to make. I mean, his reaction as well about England. He says, "Well, he's an England national. He plays for England." Do you know what I mean? It was like he is getting sick of that kind of you've got to play Calvin Phillips. Managers don't like being told what to do, because let's face it, people in the media don't know what's going on behind closed doors. There's a reason why he's only played 336 minutes, in 2 years, because he's not good enough. It's as simple as that, and he clearly doesn't feel that he's good enough for Man City's team. So he doesn't fit into and it might not be that he's not a good enough player. He's just not good enough for what Man City are doing at this particular moment in time. And Pep really is, he plays different systems. He doesn't stick with the same system every year. He played, notoriously played a full season more or less without a centre forward. forward, and now he's got a centre forward that's banging in goals for fun. Isn't it? And if you bring in a bigger and better player, who plays in your position, there's not much chance of you getting in. But Phillips will do well elsewhere. There's no doubt about it.
He can come on the Riverside. We don't mind him, being involved at Wembley in February, March when we're playing in the final of the UEFA Carrier Bag Champions League Cup. We don't mind.
Exactly.
We don't mind.
I tell you what,
against Newcastle,
be a good signing for you.
He got the lowest rating on the match in the match ratings last night as well, unfortunately. So Calvin didn't do much justice to given the chance afforded to him by Rodri's suspension. He really didn't take his chance because his passing, I thought, was imprecise, and he couldn't fight back when Newcastle's waves, especially after the break where we saw Gordon and that come on. He just couldn't. He was just out of his depth, and he got one of the lowest ratings on that pitch last night as well. So he hasn't done much to stand up to all the the talk and the media speculation. And I think the writing's now on the wall that Calvin's going to have to move onwards in January, maybe to a lower Premier League team, maybe back to Leeds. Not too sure. In the Championship, I still think he's a Premier League midfielder, but he just needs consistency, doesn't he? He needs someone to believe in him, someone not to come out and say, I've lost faith in him and I haven't been able to get the best out of him. He needs someone that's going to back him and give him time, to cement the place in that midfield again. And we all know he's got the quality. It's just unfortunately, Man City's got so many, good players and so much depth there that he's just fallen to the wayside, which does happen in bigger clubs, big squads.
Yeah,
so he's still good for the Championship.
Yeah, so Phillips got the lowest ratings, but the guy who got the highest ratings was Tino Livramento. Steve, you've been waxing lyrical about the way he played, came in on his debut. You're not the only one, because your mate Eddie's also been waxing. This is what he had to say.
Yeah, he was. I mean, a very difficult opponent in Jack Grealish, who's an outstanding player. I thought he defensively was really, really good. I thought he played with a real maturity in his game. He looked composed, so very good signs for him. And I thought he attacked well in the second half as well as we improved as a team. So yeah, he can be very pleased.
Got to say thanks to Sky Sports for the audio as well. So there's Eddie, giving it big tick box. Gives him a bit of food for thought. Who's going to take that position? Who's going to be first choice?
It gives him Trippier's first choice is no doubt about it, but it just means now that if Trippier, there's been collective groans over the last 2 years whenever Trippier's gone down holding his ankle, holding his calf, holding his whatever.
I'm glad you said whatever.
We've now got somebody who can come in and do the job. Javier Manquillo has been an able backup over the years. And Emil Kraft, of course, has been a long-term injury. He wasn't a fan's favourite, Emil Kraft, but Eddie Howe came in, did a little bit of magic with him, and he just got into the fans' good books, I guess. But just started to put a good string of performances together, and then he got this cruciate ligament injury. So for me, Livramento coming in it's a blessing, and that was a baptism of fire last night. Playing in a back four, which has never played together before, with two players that have probably played 3 or 4 games between them in the last year and a half, and
against the European champions.
Against the European champions, and he's done well. He at times carried it. I thought he looked great. You can see why there's been talk of him playing for England, and I think if he can find the consistency and get a run in the team at some point, like I said before, if we can keep a hold of Hall as well, I think we've potentially got England's next two fullbacks playing at Newcastle, which would be fantastic to have two players certainly in and around anyway.
Do you think there's room in the Newcastle team to have a Livramento and Trippier on the same pitch?
Yeah, because he can play left, he can play right wing. There has been talk of that, but there is he's got options, and Eddie Howe and the club have bought players who are versatile. We're using that word quite a lot at the moment, but Hall is versatile. He played 3 different positions last night. Anthony Gordon is versatile. He can play left wing, he can play through the middle, he can play up front, he can play right wing. He could do a job in midfield for you if you needed him to. So versatility is the key, and that means that if there's injuries, if there's suspensions, then you can clearly move people around. Joe Linton again, Joe Linton started under Steve Bruce as a centre forward. He then give credit to Bruce for this. At least, he did move him out to the left wing. Didn't have much time to develop him there. Eddie Howe did the rest. But he can play centre midfield, left wing, up front at a push. So we've got versatile players, and Livramento has joined that list. And like I say, he was man of the match last night, deservedly so. And for me, just delighted to have him as part of Newcastle's squad.
It's like our Lewis O'Brien, Dave.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
We're playing him everywhere at the moment, aren't we? Since he's come in on loan since Nottingham, he seems to be the new left back for the Boro. Obviously, we've struggled with the left back role, but seems to have brought in the defensive midfielder from Nottingham. But Lewis O'Brien now the solid left back in Middlesbrough's arsenal at the moment. So
we seem to have mastered that art of playing players out of position. Look at Paddy McNair. He's been everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised he hasn't pulled the number 9 shirt on and gone up front.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's versatility. I think is this day and age, and I think as you're moving in as a young footballer, I mean, being able to play in multiple positions is only going to increase your potential, because we see so much fight and depth for each position that if you can play in multiple positions where a club might be short, the ability we saw Chuba Akpom, the ability who's he's been a striker but fell back to a cam, or Lewis O'Brien who's been a left winger, centre, defensive mid, and now a left back. I mean, that versatility is what keeps you in the squad, isn't it? Because when one player goes down, we can just move you across, sort of thing. So versatility these days, and if that's Newcastle's aim, is bringing in players that are versatile, then I think Middlesbrough can be said the same, because it seems to be the way.
Yeah. Can I just say, I know Newcastle have dominated the show for the first hour here this morning for whatever reason. I can't understand it, but there you go. If you're a Mackem, we want a Mackem on this show to give us some balance.
We do.
We've got the 3 biggest teams in the northeast, obviously led by Boro. Newcastle might come in there, and Sunderland might squeeze in as well. But we want a Mackem. We want Steve Wraith, though he's a mad mag, wants a Mackem because he wants someone to take the mick out of. If you know the right Sunderland supporter who should join this very fine band of gentlemen and ladies, can be a lady, we don't mind, then give him a shout, give him a poke, send him an email, whatever you got to do, hit him with a stick and just say, get in touch with the Breakfast Show. It is, without doubt, the breakfast show across the Northeast Footy Brekkie. We do want to talk Sunderland, and we want to Mackem to join our team. So come on, Sunderland fans. I think they're a bit shy, Steve. Champions League football.
I think they are.
On the road.
But we do need one. We do need one for the band there. The crap.
Beating European champions. The other 2 Northeast sides still in the Carrier Bag Cup. Oh, absolutely. So come from behind the sofa.
I like James. James was great yesterday. He was exactly what we need.
We're trying to get him to leave the Sunderland Echo. We've asked him to go and put his notice in today, but he won't do it. He won't have it.
Yeah.
But there you go. So
come on, James.
Yeah. So Mackems, Sunderland fans, who should be on this show representing your turf and having a bit of crack, give us a shout. You can email the Cat, because that's the station for Sunderland and Wearside. hello@thecatuk.com. Fellas, we're going into the news. We've got to play some ads as well first. We've got lots. We've got lots. We're going to be late because I've got to play some ads first. We've got lots more to come in the next hour. Absolutely tons more to talk about. But I want to leave you two with a question. And it's not a football question. I want you to mull this over and give us the answer afterwards, because one of the biggest ever lottery wins has just taken place in the US. Now, if I was to offer you £1.3 billion as a prize, which is exactly what's just been won in America, $1.3 billion, other than investing in Newcastle United and Middlesbrough Football Club, how would you want to receive it? You've got 2 choices. You can take half of it up front, one-off payment. There you go. Thank you very much. You're buying a mansion tomorrow and a private jet and whatever else you want, because you can. Or you can have $1.3 billion paid to you annually over 30 years. Okay. So that's the choice the winner in America has. Do they get $1.3 billion paid to them in annual instalments across the next 30 years, or they can take 50% of it now as a lump sum? We shall talk more after this. Now then, do you do sales? Do you fancy a great career challenge? Well, the Red, the Cat and the Toon has a full-time vacancy for a special sales exec. Not only will you be responsible for generating the vital revenue needed to see the Northeast's newest radio business grow, but you'll grow too. Show us you can do the business and you'll soon become Group Sales Director. Our stations are flying. We have the three legends back on air. Then there's the one that most are talking about, the Northeast Footy Brekkie Show. And there's more to come. Gumption and creativity count more to us than years. You may only have 2 or 3 years selling experience, but if you get what we're trying to achieve, you will be the right fit. You'll ideally be located in Tyneside or Wearside. This will be a hybrid working role. It's a full-time basic plus commission position. So come on, think you have what it takes? Then give us a shout. Email any of the 3 stations. That's hello@thetoonuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Clark.
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Williams.
My first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester. It was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking the ball with it as well. I thought it was just for standing it.
Across the Northeast, it's the 3 legends.
Fridays at 6 on the Cat, the Red and the Toon.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink. Steve and Rye, the Northeast Footy Breakfast.
Right across the Northeast, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Oh, young Deborah Harry. She's not that young anymore, is she? I'll let you into a little secret, boys. I used to fancy Debbie Harry.
Didn't we all?
Oh, that's good to hear. I've been let off the hook, didn't we all? Yeah.
Didn't we all? What a woman.
That photograph on the front cover of Parallel Lines, the album. I tell you.
Yeah, Dave, I asked her for a date once, but she kept us hanging on the telephone, so I just decided it was pointless. It was pointless.
I got it. It might have gone over a lot of people's heads. Hanging on the telephone. Good lads.
She said she was going to meet us at the Farne Islands, but the tide was high.
There's a challenge. You've just given me an idea. You know, this bizarre. We used to do these bizarre things when I was working at Sky. There were 5 or 6 regional reporters when we started Sky Sports News in '98, and I set up the Northeast Bureau and was the Northeast reporter for Sky Sports, and we all used to. We didn't have WhatsApp then, but we'd keep in regular contact. And one day, one of the lads said, "Hey, how do you fancy a game tomorrow when we're all out and about doing press conferences and football stuff? Why don't we try and sneak in and see if anybody knows film titles into our reports?"
I've done this.
Have you done this before? And it sounds exactly like that. The winner was absolutely brilliant. A guy was sent. Well, Tony Blair was. Oh God, yeah, that's how old I am. Tony Blair was Prime Minister, and he had to go and cover some press conference where they were doing something to do with football, and he managed to sneak in the line. And it was something like, the Prime Minister's doing this, announced this, but the dilemma for Tony Blair, or the dilemma faced by Tony Blair's which project he's gonna sign up for next. So he got the Blair Witch Project into the line. That was fantastic, absolutely. So that was the winner. So maybe we should try that, fellas. Seeing as Steve there so subtly has been throwing in Blondie tracks into his lines.
Yeah, it's always a good idea. It's always a good idea.
I set you a challenge earlier, didn't I? 1.3 billion quid. That's what's just been won in the US.
Mulling over that one.
And the bizarre thing is, the woman who's won it, she didn't come forward for a couple of months to claim it because she was afraid of all the publicity and stuff. She's probably lost about 10 million quid in interest. She could have got something ridiculous like that for waiting so long. But yeah, the dilemma is you win £1.3 billion, and I say to you, Steve, Rye, you can have it all now. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. You can have all that money, but I'm paying you it annually over the next 30 years. Or I'll give you 50% of it up front. You can take it away now. Which one would you go for?
50% up front for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to wait.
Love it. Greed. We like it. Get it in the bag.
You could be dead next week.
You could be, couldn't you?
You'd rather have some of it.
That's a good point.
You'd rather have some of it, wouldn't you?
They could pay it into your estate, mate. They could still pay it into your estate.
That's not that well, yeah, but I'm not here to spend it. So, you'd want 50% up front, wouldn't you? You really would, right?
I mean, 50% of it as well is such a large sum.
You're talking 650 million quid.
I would buy Sports Direct and close it.
And I know what Ryan'd do. Ryan'd buy the Boro, install me as chief executive, and he'd come into the dressing room and tell Michael he's got to play the GOAT every game. That's what he'd do.
Yep. Exactly. I'd buy the Boro and I'd be the owner that comes into the dressing room after every game, but I wouldn't speak to anyone else. I'd just speak to Riley McGree, Sammy Silvera, Tom Glover. We'd have an Aussie corner dedicated in that area where they've got the nicest chairs and stuff like that.
He'd install a Barbie in the dressing room. That's what he'd do.
I'd buy the Boro for sure.
Frosters on tap.
Jet, I tell you. Frosters on tap. It would be,
even though they don't drink
an
it.
Aussie would fit. It'd be shrimp on the Barbies, half time for the lads. None of these oranges and Gatorades. It'd be shrimps on the Barbie.
Yeah.
And then it'd be all
walking around
Aussie,
in thongs. Sand on the floor of the dressing room.
Red Boro hats with corks on.
Hey, you've given me an idea there, Steve. Merch. Northeast Footy Brecky merch.
The Aussie hat. Get it done. The
You'd
Northeast merch.
You'd have little kangaroo pouches with red, carrying babies in the front to the match to get them in Boro fans.
How far can we take this conversation?
As long as we don't need if we get a merch shirt that's like I love Livramento so much or something like that, I'm out. I tell you, I'm not going that far.
Yeah. Jeez, I'm crying. There's tears in my eyes. How far can we go off on a tangent and make it last? Oh, brilliant!
My goodness.
Well, we're still never following the notes.
Let's recap, Steve, shall we? Let's recap. Should we? Let's listen to what Steve had to say about a good Newcastle United win, 1-0 over Man City. If you've just joined us, good morning to the Northeast. We love yous and hope you're all fantastic, safe and well. We are bringing you the Northeast Brecky Footy Show, and we are covering everything Northeast, and we had Newcastle United with a big win over Man City last night in the Carabao Cup, taking them on to the next round where they have been drawed out, and the ball was correct this time, Newcastle fans. I apologise. The ball was correct. You have been drawn away to Man United, and Middlesbrough, who are also in there, have been drawn away to Exeter City. Another nice long round trip. And Sunderland fans, if you are listening, I apologise, but we all know you're not in the cup. I apologise.
Definitely not.
But we've got Newcastle, and
but we do want to mack them. We do want to mack them on the show. We want to mack them.
We do need a mack them. We do need a mack them. And it sounds like, Steve, Livramento, your new favourite player, didn't play too good.
Well, put it this way, Tino Asprilla had the song Tino, and that was echoing around the ground last night because Tino Livramento stole everyone's thunder last night. He was man of the match. Newcastle, of course, through to the next round of the Carabao Cup after beating the treble winners Manchester City at St James's Park. Alexander Isak got the goal, finished it with a plum, and just great. A plum. Just great to see Newcastle United beating the treble winners. Pep Guardiola's face was a pleasure to behold, and not only did he get beat at St James's Park, oh dear me, he had to get the bus home. Yeah. He couldn't get his flight because of the Storm Agnes that was heading in, so he faced a 3.5-4 hour journey back to Manchester, and then has to go to Wolves at the weekend, he said, which seemed to be, I don't know whether he was complaining about the bus or the fact he had to go to Wolves at the weekend, but he wasn't happy anyway. But he was complimentary towards Newcastle anyway. He did give us a bit of praise. Said Newcastle came out and they were more aggressive in the second half and deserved the win. So happy days. And the former Mackham striker Don Goodman, who clearly wasn't happy that he had to commentate on the game last night. Then decides to basically pull Newcastle out of the
warm his balls and pull out Manchester United 16. Against Newcastle United.
Yeah.
So if we're going to win the cup, we're going to have to do it the hard way, boys and girls. We're going to have to go out there and go to Manchester United, go to Old Trafford, and dump them out of the cup as well. And it didn't dampen the atmosphere last night. I think most people felt, we've just beaten the treble, whereas Manchester United should be a bit more concerned about us going there than us being concerned about going to Old Trafford. So listen, good night all round. The only thing that's really concerning people is injuries. Callum Wilson wasn't even in the squad last night, tightening of the hamstring, and we all know that Eddie Howe manages his displays, his performances. He doesn't like to take too much of a risk on him because of his past record with injuries. Isak went off last night, so there was groans, but he came out and allayed the fears that he was injured. He just said he felt a little bit of tightening in his calf, but he will be okay. But there was the return of Joe Linton as well. Joe Linton's back. We alluded to it yesterday morning that he was back in training, and he played a full game last night and was back to his best. So
and Paul Dummett.
And Paul Dummett. Wow, I mean, just the back four. If
13 months.
It was enough to give you nightmares. Livramento, Paul Dummett, Jamal Lascelles and Mac Target. You're looking at that thinking, we are going to get mullered. We are going to get spanked at home. We're going out. What on earth's Eddie doing? Well, what do we know? Because that back four kept a clean sheet, the fourth clean sheet in a row. Nick Pope is going to invest in a black and white deck chair, I think, and sit and read a book for the next couple of games. Because that back four that had the foundations that we built a good season on last season are back, and it's that defensive wall now. You think it had been built by Jimmy Neal, Tim Healy, Kevin Waitley, and all the lads from Afidazine Pets, because it's as strong as any brickwork in Germany.
I love the headlines on the Mirror this morning as well. If you pick up the newspaper, the headlines, the big in bold letters you'll see is the word busted, and the word bus is highlighted in yellow. So Newcastle have beaten Man City 1-0 with the headline busted with the word bus highlighted. Obviously, Man City having to get the bus home because the planes weren't available. Pep saying that buses cause injuries to his players as well. So buses aren't friendly for players, everyone.
Yeah.
So,
if you stand in front of them,
that's what he said.
Man, you can take a nail off. You can take a nail off pressing that stop button. You can take a nail off. I'm telling you.
You think Jim Bone were giving him his bus fare home the week? You think he was on the number 49 going back to
Someone
Manchester?
needs to check on Jack Grealish, mate, because a bus ride for poor Jack, that just doesn't happen in 2023. It's disgusting, I tell you. But Man City having to get the bus home after losing as well made it all worse. As Steve did say, Pep saying that they played aggressive to win the game, but I leave comfortable with how we played with no injuries and minutes for Matteo and Jack, obviously Kovacic and Grealish there. So, and sad night for Pep. He did look a little bit disheartened in the presser, but all good stuff for the Northeast. Apart from Sunderland, I apologise because, Papa John's, it's okay, Sunderland. You'll be back.
Indeed. And it's worth pointing out that there were 10 changes. Only Nick Pope was the player surviving from
10 changes.
10 changes, absolutely.
51,000 as well down at St James as well. 51,000.
So it wasn't a full house then.
It was.
Man City didn't bring all of their supporters, but I tell you what,
he was quick to jump in.
Interesting that there wasn't a public sale for this game, which meant that all season ticket holders bought their tickets, which usually those games are games where it's a cheaper ticket price. Everybody gets the opportunity. People who don't normally get a chance to come to the game get an opportunity to come. I think a lot of that's down to the fact that Newcastle got to the Carabao Cup final last year and there was such a clamour for tickets. So I think a lot of season ticket holders have thought, I better go to the game. And the thing is now as well, of course, that if you're a season ticket holder, you can transfer your ticket. You can transfer it 10 times in a season, but ultimately, that means most season ticket holders will be going to the cup games this season. So it's good. I mean, it's good for the club. It's a full house every week.
Yeah.
We saw as well, lads.
Go on.
Sorry, Steve, you go.
No, you're there, mate. You were there. You're on it.
So I was just saying as well, I wanted to have a look over quickly at the Everton-Aston Villa, because there's a couple of subjects there with Aston Villa that I think are quite funny at the moment. So we saw Everton obviously beating Aston Villa. Are Everton on the comeback trail? We got Sean Dice obviously down at Everton trying to revive Everton's whole club, beating Aston Villa 2-1. But there's a bit of a funny thing going on down at Aston Villa, lads. Villa's shirts are broken, apparently. Yeah. So Castore, obviously the manufacturers of the Aston Villa shirts, have said that there's been a fault in the manufacturing and they are not pushing away, or I guess they're not sweat resistant. So if you have a look at the Aston Villa's shirts in the past couple of games, they are drenched by come halftime, and the players are saying they're having to change their shirts multiple times throughout the game. And the Aston Villa women are now dreading playing on Sunday because they said that the issues with the club's clingy shirts is just going to be absolutely horrible to play in. So we've got the poor Aston Villa women dreading playing in their kit. We got the boys coming out and saying they're changing kits 3 to 4 times during a match. Is this the worst kit saga we've ever had, lads?
I think it is. I mean, Castori have got this horrendous record, this track record. Aston Villa, Wolves, Newcastle. I don't think Newcastle fans have had much to complain about with regards to the strip itself. It's delivery and lack of availability that we've complained about. But I remember Wolves having a strip that had been sent with a badge upside down. Newcastle had a bit of a
the spelling could be improved for Newcastle.
Well, Newcastle had a furore over the Newcastle United line, but it turned out that it's the way it was stitched. People were saying it wasn't spelled correctly. But yeah, Castoria, they don't seem to be up to the job. Is the simple answer to this conundrum. And Villa are just in the long line of football clubs that seem to be suffering from it. But I just don't understand. I don't understand how a kit manufacturer can get it wrong, Dave.
It dumbfounds me. I mean, because what was it, 5 or 6 years ago, they were all the manufacturers were going on about their high-tech wicking to remove sweat straight away. Have Castoria forgotten about it? Have they just omitted that this season? It's like, we've got this roll of fabric's a bit cheap, but we'll use that.
Have you seen the pictures, lads? It's an interesting picture. So I've sent you one in the little group chat for you.
I've seen it.
Let's have a look. Yeah, you've got Martinez, obviously the goalkeeper, standing next to Callum Chambers. And Callum Chambers looks like he's gone through a car wash. He is absolutely drenched. It is incredible to see the difference of what's happening down there. And Castore, I've got some questions, I tell you, because it literally is absolutely drenching these lads, and it is sticking to them. They're having to change shirts midway through the games, coming off as substitutions. We hear about drink breaks, but have we ever heard about kit change about 15 minutes into a game? I don't think we ever have. So congratulations, Castore. You've put yourselves on the map, probably for the wrong reasons. But poor Aston Villa losing to Everton, getting knocked out of the cup, and also having to probably look for a new kit manufacturer. Maybe they tee up with Adidas there, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I mean, Newcastle have done the deal with Adidas, and it's a great one. The Everton and Hummel launched limited edition shirt as well that you sent to us, which was absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? I mean, I expected Jason
Where did you
Donovan
send
to wear
these?
that.
They're not on the group chat. Are you just missing me out?
One? No. In our little program we use, I've just sent you the Callum changes to everyone. That's a thing, and then I sent you the Everton one in the WhatsApp as well.
The Everton one, Everton and Hummel have launched a limited edition shirt to champion equality and inclusivity in football, but it looks as if Jason Donovan should wear it. It looks like the coat of many colours.
I don't know what they've thought there.
It's a strange old thing that it really, really is.
I completely and utterly get it. Going for equality, inclusivity, I'm all for it. But that shirt, seriously, they could have thought of something else there. That is an eyesore. That it looks like you're doing one of those. One of those pictures where you have to cross-eyed and go real up close to it and then slowly step back from it. It looks like it's going to do that, and then it's going to reveal some sort of image, because it's absolutely incredible. So if you haven't seen it, ladies and gentlemen, get onto the social media, look up the Everton and Hummel limited edition shirt for the champion equality and inclusivity in football. It is a limited edition shirt for all of the Everton fans here, made by Hummel, and look, it's a bright one. I'm warning you now.
I do want to give a little plug to something that Dave and I are doing next week.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to.
And this is the 25th National Curry Week next week, from the 2nd to the 7th of October. And we have teamed up with Raval. The North East Brekkie Show has teamed up with Raval. Dave and I will be down there Monday, bright and early, broadcasting from the restaurant to launch this. But it is to raise money for a charity. And essentially, I think this is a great idea from Raval's point of view. They've asked us to get involved with it as well. But it's from the 2nd until the 7th of October. It's for a charity called Feeding Families. And the idea behind it is that they're going to, for every person that goes in and buys a chicken tikka masala next week, they are going to donate the cost of that to the charity, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Love that.
They're also
Absolutely
offering 20% discount to anybody who books online at rivaluk.com. So if you want to take up your discount, all you need to do is mention I run a podcast called NUFC Matters. NUFC Matters 2023, and if you go to rivaluk.com and mention that, you'll get 20% off next week. But Dave and I are going to be broadcasting from there, supporting feeding families who are delighted, and we'll try and get Juliet Sanders, who's the CEO of the charity, on next week just to give a little bit of an insight into where the money is going to go. But delighted to be helping that, Dave, and I'm not sure whether we'll have a curry in the morning.
Yeah, I think we have to have a curry because it's
I'll
easy.
Sit here with a curry.
It's easy for Ryan.
I'll sit here with a curry.
You know, it's like 5 o'clock
in the afternoon to you.
with him. Yeah.
It's dinner time. I'll have my dinner on the show.
It's a Canberra curry afternoon for him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I think we'll have to have a tikka masala for breakfast, which is going to be quite novel. But we'll try and get Juliet down as well.
Yeah, get it down. We'll chat to her on the show.
I know your mindset. We've got to get up that early. She better.
Yeah. Hang on a minute, mate. Who's got to get up early?
We've got to get up early.
I've got to drive from Teesside to Newcastle before we even start.
Oh, no.
Well, you can ring us, and I'll talk to you as you drive over.
Well, at least you don't have to catch the bus, Dave, like Man City.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
After having food poisoning in the last week, having a curry for breakfast might be quite interesting. Might be quite interesting. Yeah.
Get your tenor pants on, Dave.
Great cause.
Yeah.
Great cause, and happy to be part of the show next week as we bring you that. And obviously, we're a Northeast Brekkie show. We're trying to support anything going on in the Northeast. We saw obviously the ride from London to Newcastle as well. So if you have got anything that's going on in the Northeast charity wise or anything going on, get in touch with the show, let us know, and we can help promote it, we can get on board, and we can help support it as well, because we like to help the locals. We're here for the people, here for the town, here for all the way from Hartlepool up to Newcastle in the Premier League. So if you have got something going on that's charitable and you need some assistance in promotion or whatever it is, get in touch. Happy to lend our voices, happy to lend the airwaves and help promote.
But what I want to know, Steve, is when are we going over there to support the Canberra Food Bank?
Exactly.
Well,
that's what I want to know.
As soon as Rye
Come
books
down
the flights.
to Australia.
Yeah.
I need an Australian in location show with Riley McGree. I mean, he's coming in November. I'm going to the game in the soccer. He's coming and play Socceroos in November. So I've already booked my tickets. I'm going to be catching up with Riley and in November. So it's going to be an all-borough affair in Melbourne, just down the road from me. So looking forward to that as well.
Just down the
I can't
road.
wait to have some.
How many miles?
I mean, it's about 9 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
9 hours.
I love this. I do. I love this.
Australia's quite large.
Pep Guardiola whinges about a 3.5 hour bus trip. And in Australia, just down the road, it's a 9 hour drive, mate. 9 hours. Yes, it's easy.
Just 9 hours.
Yeah.
9 hours.
Yeah, I love it.
Continuing the Australian flair, lads, of the Northeast Brekkie show, all right? Obviously, I'm bringing the Australian flair. I need to talk, and we haven't spoken about him too much, but I need to talk to you guys about Big Ange Postecoglou, guys. I want to get the English feeling on Big Ange, because Ange is dominating the sports headlines he is here in Australia. Every morning breakfast show, every news article when it comes to sport is only talking about Ange and how well he's doing at Tottenham, and in particular, how much he is being appreciated for his impressive interview tactics. Obviously, his comeback, his quirks, the way he responds. We've seen Ange taking over at Spurs, coming up from Celtic, obviously. And it seems to be that he is just absolutely being one of the most popular managers in the Prem. It seems that the big Aussie has taken to it like a duck to water. And I need to ask you, lads, is Ange... I mean, we've seen Ten Hag... Eddie Howe, I guess, but is Big Ange the most popular manager in the Premier League?
I think he is at the moment, and it comes down to what we were talking about over the last couple of days about managers who've now gone the other way, like Jurgen Klopp. Used to be quite novel. We used to enjoy listening to him. Now he's become this caricature of himself. Well, it's my impression anyway. Jose Mourinho after his fallout with the doctor or physio or whoever it was never really the same, and gone on to other clubs and never really captured that kind of same the same kind of impact that he had when he first came to the Premier League. So I think you're right. I think he's certainly come into the Premier League. I think everybody, including me, I thought Spurs were going to struggle, and I thought there'd be in a relegation battle, and he'd get sacked before he'd even got his feet under the table. completely proved me wrong. He's been absolutely brilliant, and he has been a breath of fresh air. And I think there's something about, hey, Rai, you're going to like this. There's something about the Aussie accent.
Yes.
It's quite laid back, isn't it? It's quite a laid back kind of thing. He made us think of Neighbours and Home and Away, and who was the bloke who used to be on Home and Away, the old guy who was always down at the cafe part. I can't remember his name now, but
I can't remember.
He was. There was. It just made us. It made us think of. It made us think of that. Alf, that's him. Yeah, Alf.
It
made us think of Alf.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of Alf about him.
Alf Stewart.
Alf Stewart. Yeah, he's like Alf Stewart.
Yeah.
He's not like B. Smith out of Prisoner. He's more of Alf Stewart out of Home and Away. So yeah, I mean, I like him at the moment. I do like him. I think he's a breath of fresh air. Certainly, the football he's got Spurs playing is excellent. I mean, they don't even miss Harry Kane, do they? At the moment, I mean,
no.
He's got Son has always been a wonderful striker, but he's got the captaincy. He's got the freedom of the pitch. He's starting to bang the goals in. He's been ably assisted by James Maddison in the midfield, who's up there with most assists, I think, this season. He's got the team playing well. Of course, like every team does, he'll hit a bump in the road, and when they do, it's how he deals with it. But at the moment, everything is going well for him, and I think as somebody watching Spurs from afar, I quite like him. I quite like the cut of his jib.
Yeah, I think what's catching people's eye is the impression he gives. He's a no-nonsense guy, and he's not going to let the egos take over. And he seems to have sorted all that out very quickly. He's turned Spurs round. Son's on fire under him. I think it is. I think it is because he's different, and his approach is different, and he is so well spoken. In the press conference, he's been asked stuff away from football. He's been asked, journalists will throw curveballs at him, and he handles it so well. And I think that's what's caught the imagination of the I was going to say the British football fans, but the English football fans.
Well, there you go, Aussie listeners. Flame and Galars. Ange is the most popular manager in the Flame and Galars. You can sit back because Ange is the most popular manager in the Prem, according to my good co-host. So there you go. Ange is. He's taking the airwaves, I tell you.
I'm telling you, mate.
Tell you what.
That's a famous Alf Stewart line. You great Galar.
Flame and Galars.
Yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
No, it's good, and I'm glad to see Ange, and I'm glad to see a bit more Aussie presence taking over the Premier League. You've got your Todd Bowleys, your Americans coming in and buying all your clubs up, but we need a bit more Aussie flair. We've got the Riley McGrees, we've got the Sammy Silveras, Tom Glovers. When was the last time we saw an Aussie in a Newcastle shirt, Steve?
There's been one or two.
Mark Viduka.
Mark Viduka was one. Dave Mitchell.
We have to go all the way back to Big Duke.
Dave Mitchell, prior to that, I think he came on loan to Newcastle, and I'm pretty sure he was an Aussie. But there's not been many at Newcastle.
What's going on?
To be fair, it's definitely one for the researchers. But yeah, Viduka's probably the last one that I can think of.
Should we try and get the Duke on the
show? Newcastle fans? Yeah,
should we try and get the Duke on the show?
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine him or Big Schwartz? I'd be.
I'll let you know a little secret, mate. I'm lining up Schwartz for you, so don't worry. You're going to get it.
My goodness.
You're going to get it.
Oh, my goodness.
Dave Mitchell plays.
I know you're listening out there, but you guys obviously got Nectorious Triantis, the Aussie from the A-League, obviously signed as the first centre-back over at Sunderland. So they've got an Aussie flair over there. We've obviously got the Aussies down at Middlesbrough, but there's no Aussies up at Newcastle. I don't know what's going on
Dave Mitchell was born in Glasgow, but he moved to Adelaide as a young child, so that rules him out. He's not a proper Aussie, but he played a lot of his time in Australia. Played for Adelaide City, and also played for Sydney Olympic and Sydney United, and his international career was for Australia, so I wasn't far off the mark. So there you go. Clearly got nationality in across there, but not born there. So you would probably see
the same as big suits down at Leicester. He actually played in the AFL for the first time. He played for Leicester this season. Big suits, obviously big money signing for Leicester City in January of last season. Everyone will be aware of big suits move to Leicester, and obviously Leicester getting relegated. But he played for the first time last night for Leicester this season. Obviously still struggling to get any game time under new manager down at Leicester City. So yeah, interesting to see what will happen there after a $19 million signing of January last season, and he's finding himself without any time on the pitch. So, interesting to see what happens with Suits come January. I would love another Aussie down at Middlesbrough, maybe a big centre back. Don't know how he's going to get past Dale Fry, the Lighthouse, or Darragh Lenihan, the Adonis of centre backs, if you will. So, but no, very interesting. But lads, I think it's also rightly so as well. We've seen overnight the Ajax and Feyenoord, and I want to wrap this one up because it's a bit of a sad subject, a bit of a sore one, if you will, a bit of a black mark, if you will, and that's what they've called it on football itself, with Ajax and Feyenoord being resumed last night from the 57th minute behind closed doors. Obviously, it's got a bit of a Middlesbrough flair to it, with Chuba Akpom now being at Ajax. I wanted to talk to you guys about that and see how you feel, because Ajax and Feyenoord has resumed. It's been played behind closed doors from the 57th minute, and Feyenoord have ended up winning that one 4-0. Obviously, we saw the game on the weekend postponed due to fans rioting and destroying millions and dollars worth of damage to the Ajax stadium, which is a beautiful stadium. The John Cruyff Arena has suffered $1 million worth of damage. Ajax actually asked that the game be postponed even longer. They didn't want it to be played yesterday because it was still too volatile. They thought the fans would still, even though it was behind closed doors, would still come outside and start rioting, but they were able to control it. There wasn't much fan action outside the stadium. The game was continued behind closed doors, and Feyenoord coming back to win. Well, not sorry, coming back. Will continue their dominating and winning 4-0. Is it a sad subject, lads, to see football being played behind closed doors?
Well, of course it is. I mean, that violence was extreme. I mean, I hadn't even heard anything about it until you pointed it out on the show. But I mean, to watch it was horrendous. Yet, and as a football fan, you'd hate to be caught up in anything like that. And I mean, the police seemed to be, completely outnumbered at one point, and were getting pushed back into the stadium. And then the vandalism that took place within the ground. I mean, it was, it's £1 million worth of damage. I mean, not good at all, mate. But they did the right thing. They played the game behind closed doors, and I think you were saying, how would you feel, as a Feyenoord fan, with your team, 3-0 up, you're getting punished not once but twice, kind of thing. But I think ultimately the right thing was done. The result stands, and hopefully they can move on from that unsavoury incident, mate.
Do you think it's too soon to have a look at how Chuba Akpom's gone, Dave? Obviously moving to Ajax. He's only been a bit part player this season now for Ajax. He did come on as a substitute in this behind closed doors. And he had one touch in 37 minutes of game time. Is it too soon to look over there? Obviously, we see the incidents now with Ajax in the stadium. Is it like a please come home, Chuba, or is it just too soon?
I think it's too soon. It's too soon to make a call. But I'm sure the Ajax fans were expecting him to hit the ground running from the performance he put in the Championship last season, and he hasn't been able to do that for whatever reason. I haven't seen enough of the games. All I've been seeing is fans rioting at the Johan Cruyff Arena. So I don't know whether they're playing him at his best. If they're playing him as a number 9, they're not going to get goals out of him. If they're playing him as a number 10, they will get goals out of him. So I don't even know how they're playing.
Like Neil Warner.
I'll put a dinosaur on my head. Boro fans, let me know if you've been following this, if you've been watching Ajax, if you've been watching Chuba. Tell us how they are trying to use him. Is it a number 9? Is it a number 10? That role he was playing at the Boro, where he's just behind the immediate forward line. Let us know, 0330 043 2002, because that'll answer the question. Because he scores goals, does somebody sign him and immediately stick a 9 on his back and stick him up front, which is not his best position?
No, it's not. And Steve, is it, as a Newcastle fan, obviously you got a few Boro fans, and I see it on social media commenting about Chuba and a few players leaving and stuff like that. As a Newcastle fan, do you keep an eye on, say, St. Maxim or even Chris Wood, or is it just sort of something that in your I guess experience that you just sort of forget about them? They're not Newcastle anymore, and off you go.
No, he's gone now, mate. I genuinely don't keep an eye on him. If he creeps up on Sky Sports and we see a goal. There was one shown the other week, I think. I've got no interest in ex-players. I don't follow them. I don't watch them. He's an ex-player for a reason. He wasn't good enough for Eddie's project, Newcastle's project, and we'll move on. Obviously, if they come back to St James's Park, or if we end up playing against them, you're always interested. You're always intrigued. There's always that kind of feeling that an ex-player is going to come back and haunt you in some way, shape or form. It's happened in Newcastle, it's happened to Boro and Sunderland, I'm sure, on many occasions. But yeah, I don't pay attention to them. It's interesting as well, because we've got Yankuba Minte on loan at on loan at Feyenoord as well, and he's done very well. I mean, he's a young kid, but he's already hit the ground running, got a couple of goals and a couple of assists, and seems to be doing really well out there. So I'm looking forward to hopefully him having more game time and coming back and potentially staking a claim for a place in Newcastle's squad. If he's good enough for Feyenoord, then he's good enough for Newcastle. But yeah, ex-players are ex-players for a reason. Once they're gone, I'll move on.
And one message I have received from an Aussie listener, and shout out to the Aussie listeners of the Northeast Brekkie Show. Steve, this one is for you. Ooh. Have you forgotten about young Garang Kuol, the right winger currently out on loan?
I haven't, but he's not really knocked any houses down, has he? He didn't have a very good loan period last year, and he's out on loan again this year. And again, very little said about Garang Kuol. But yes, you're right. I had forgotten about him, and that is it is a good shout.
Well, there you go.
What are the Aussies think about Garang Kuol? Is he the next big thing? Is he somebody that can take do well in Newcastle, do well in the Premier League? At the moment, I think he's in is it Volendam? I think it is.
FC Volendam. Yeah.
So he's there in the Dutch league. But not a great deal said about him, and it seems as if Yankuba Minte has stolen his thunder a little bit. It seems that he seems to be more, up the pecking order on these loanees that we've got out than him. But yeah, interesting one. But thanks for the shout.
How'd you spell his surname?
Who? Kuol.
The Aussie, yeah.
Kuol. All
right. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't stick an A on the end.
Thank you for getting in touch. If you do want to get in touch, Aussie fans, and obviously if you're listening and want to get and pick Steve up on his Newcastle, his antics, or me on my Middlesbrough, or if we do need a Mackem, get in touch with the show. There is a WhatsApp number and obviously the emails. We love to hear from you, and thanks for getting in touch.
And we do have a public service announcement to make, because Daz, who picks up immediately after we finish and does mid-mornings, has just texted to say the A66 in Middlesbrough is shocking, and he's going to be late, but he should still be here for his 9 o'clock start. So, public service announcement live as it comes. Traffic and travel on the Northeast Footy Breakfast, right
with
across
the quiz
Northeast.
that's sweeping the nation.
You've been listening. Oh, he's a fan.
I tell you what as well. I'm just that, you know me, I always go back and do my research here, and the reason I would never have thought Kuol, I forgot that his international career is with Australia. He's played for the under-20s, the under-23s, and he's played for the Australian national team. But his place of birth was Egypt. It seems to me like Australia are a bit like Jack Charlton's Island.
I was waiting for that comment. We seem to do.
Woo, love it.
We honestly like to claim...
I'll just look at Dave Mitchell. Dave Mitchell's born in Glasgow. How did he end up playing for? How did he play for Australia national team? What is the connection? An ancient grandfather or something? Or
mate, don't forget the history. Don't forget the history of the country, mate. You know those 10 quid flights.
If you can do a good Alf Stewart impression, you're in. I tell you, that's how we pick our national
Flaming glass!
we got Citeh, who's obviously he's Scottish heritage. There's a lot there, lads, and it is quite funny. And we obviously, we got Russell Crowe. We would take him. He's actually New Zealander.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Aussies that we just claim as.
Yeah. Have you heard the Bernie Slaven story about when he got the call from Jack Charlton to come and play for the Republic?
Oh no, go on.
You've not heard it. It's fantastic. We'll have to get Bernie on to tell it, but he tells it quite a lot. But he said his phone rings. He's thinking, don't recognise that. So he answers the phone, and it's I can't even do the Big Jack impression. I'm sorry, but he says, Bernie,
it's a game, Big Jack Charlton.
Hello, Bernie, Jack Charlton, and he goes, hi Jack. He said, I want you to come and play for the Republic. He said, but we've got to qualify you. You got any Irish any Irish blood in the family? And Bernie goes, as quick as he is, he went, got an Irish setter, Jack? And he said there was silence on the phone for about 15 seconds, and he said everything's going through my mind. He said, there I am thinking, I've got my call up and I've just blown it by throwing Jack Charlton a quick one-liner about his dog. And then Jack comes back and goes, Let's talk about it. so Bernie thought he'd blown it completely by saying he had an Irish setter and that would qualify him for the Republic.
Oh my goodness!
Anyway, fellas, we got an ad break to do. I tell you what, we'll talk more. Absolutely, we will. We'll remind everybody we're still looking for a Mackem. We want a Mackem, and you can get your comments through to the boys. We've got about 15 minutes of the show left this morning. You can WhatsApp us in the studio 0330 043 2002. Have you fancied rubbing shoulders with the legends? Well, we're on the lookout for the right person to produce the three legends. This may be a voluntary position, but you'll take on the responsibility of leading the most high-profile football show in the Northeast.
Unbelievable when he come on. His pace and his finishing was different class.
How many times did you swap your top, Clarky?
Thankfully, I was sitting in 36 degrees, Dan, so I didn't have a top on.
You'll work closely with Lee Clark, Craig Hignett and Darren Williams each week to produce a great show. If you are that person, then tell us. Reach out and get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Email any of the three stations. That's hello@thetoonuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Clark. My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Williams.
Our first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester. It was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking a ball with it as well. I thought it was just for standing up.
Across the Northeast, it's the three legends.
Fridays at 6 on the Cat, the Red and the Toon.
Steve and Rye, the Northeast Footy Breakfast.
Right across the Northeast, the Red, the Cat and the Toon.
Hang on for a minute. What did I hear in that ad break? The most high-profile footy show in the Northeast, the three legends. What about this one?
What's going on? I know. We
need to blow our own trumpet,
right,
lads.
thank you very much.
we need to blow our own trumpets, play our own didgeridoo.
Maybe it's the title's too long for them. They can't say it in a commercial. The Northeast Footy Brekkie Show. Maybe we just call ourselves the Three Legends and we'll be all right.
Yeah, that's it.
I love it.
Oh,
well, good morning to you, everyone listening in. And if you're on a bus, you're doing better than Pep because he had to catch a bus home last night. If you're listening in on the way to work on a bus, big respect for you because Pep was unhappy last night that he had to catch a bus home from the Newcastle loss. Where he said Newcastle played very aggressive. But interesting stat for you Middlesbrough fans this morning. Just
before you give us the stat, do you think Pep and the boys got off at Hartshead Moor Services on the M62 and got themselves a Costa coffee? Do you think does that happen this day and age? Would they have done it?
I think did not stay at the Wetherby Whaler and get fish and chips.
The Boro used to do that every away game.
Newcastle did.
Yeah,
Newcastle did.
Yeah,
do they?
Yeah, just outside of Leeds, Wetherby on the A1. Go in there. There's a famous fish and chip shop called the Wetherby Whaler.
I know the Borough seem to have a lot of pizzas after their game now. That seems to be the go-to for a bit of a... That seems to be the dietitian's recommendations for a lot of players after the game.
It used to be Jaffa Cakes, didn't it? It used to be Jaffa Cakes because they'd burn it all off because it's all carbs. So pizzas are healthy. I love it. That's it.
Apparently, pizzas are the go-to after you play a game of football these days. So catch your bus, have a pizza, and you'll be right for the next game.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. I rudely interrupted you. You were in full flow there, Rye.
It was interesting. Just a stat from Sean Wilson. Big shout out to Sean Wilson for this one as well. But
hi, Sean.
Just wanted to say to Borough fans that following on from last night, there are now 10 clubs that the Borough have not faced in a competitive game. Obviously, last night we played Bradford. Last time we played them was 2001. But there's now 10 clubs remaining, and they are Exeter City.
Yeah,
we
the
now face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Crawley Town, Salford City, Cheltenham Town, Stevenage, AFC Wimbledon, Harrogate Town, Forest Green Rovers, Morecambe, and Fleetwood Town. So there you go. 10 remaining fixtures
other than
for the Borough to play.
Other than Exeter, the other 9 all have one thing in common. They're new clubs to have entered the Football League in recent years.
Very true. They are quite recent.
So Exeter was the only one of the originals, effectively, that we haven't played.
Interesting to see that we've been able to not meet up with Exeter over the years. It's it's interesting and it's good to see. It's good to see as well. But we also saw obviously Middlesbrough getting drawn out to Exeter and Newcastle now away to Man United. But we have got about a month till we talk Carabao action again. It's been a show dominated by Carabao Cup. So let's wrap it up because then we're not going to be able to talk about it for a month. Steve, are you worried or are you excited about Man United in the Cup? And can you go on and win it all and meet Middlesbrough in the final?
You know what? I'm not worried. I genuinely think after knocking Manchester City out that, you know, you can take on anybody. It would have been nicer if it had been at St James's Park. I think there would have been, a bigger degree of confidence. But there's a long way to go. We've got so many games coming up now, and this is where, you know, the squad is tested. We've got Burnley at home this week. Then we've got Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday, Kylian Mbappe et al. We've then got West Ham away, Crystal Palace at home. There is an international break in the middle of that, which is great. So the 8th of October, West Ham away. Then there's the international break. Means Newcastle don't play until the 21st of October. I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle go away for some training. Or do something in that period. I know there'll be a lot of people away on international duty, but I would be surprised if Newcastle don't do something. They do like to get in the warm weather, maybe just somewhere a little bit warmer to train.
Saudi,
but maybe
Saudi.
I think that'll be January, lads. Wednesday, 25th of October, we've got Borussia Dortmund at home. Then we've got Wolves away on the 28th, and then we'll have the Manchester United game. So the fixtures come thick and fast.
Wow.
You've just got to hope we haven't got the injuries, and we haven't. Anthony Gordon's the only one who looks like he could get a suspension at the moment, unless it's a red card, of course. But he's on 4 yellows, and he's player of the season at this moment in time. So it's all down to that. But I'm not worried about Manchester United. I think Eddie Howe's getting the supporters into the same kind of mindset as he is. We'll concentrate one game at a time. The next game to be worried about is Burnley at home. They're not on a great run. They've managed to turn things around in the Carabao Cup the other night, though. They've got a win against Salford away. That'll have done their confidence a world of good. Clean sheet, 4 goals. So Burnley will come to St James's Park with their tails up in that respect. But really, they should be getting dispatched on Saturday, 3 o'clock kick-off. They should be getting dispatched, and Newcastle should do the job on them, no matter what team they put out. Then we've got Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday, which we'll be looking forward to as well. But yeah, look, not bothered about it at all. Carabao Cup, can we get to the final again? If we beat Manchester United, Newcastle will be favourites. Newcastle will be favourites to get to the final. Can they win it? It all depends on which Newcastle turns up and who we are playing. If it's imagine if it was a Newcastle Middlesbrough final. For this show, it would be fantastic. We'll be tapping Dave for Wembley tickets. We'll be sitting in the press box for
fly
days.
me over,
fellas. We'll be doing the show live all week from Wembley.
Hey, I love it.
There it is. You heard it. Lock it in. All right, that's been confirmed there, Dave, and listeners hold him up to that. When Middlesbrough play Newcastle, he's flying me over and we're live from Wembley all week. Well, Newcastle are the only team that are at home this weekend as well against Burnley. We've obviously got Sunderland taking on Sheffield Wednesday, but they're away to Hillsborough, and Middlesbrough are travelling down to Watford as well. So Newcastle, the only team to be up in the northeast for football this weekend, with the other two travelling away. Sunderland will be looking to bounce back from their loss from Cardiff. Middlesbrough on a very strong run. We can talk about it tomorrow before the weekend, obviously looking ahead at the weekend fixtures. But yeah, Newcastle, the only team to be at home this weekend in the northeast, as Middlesbrough and Sunderland travel away. I mean, the miles are racking up already for us Boro fans.
Indeed they are. It's a lot of miles, but hey, that's all part and parcel of being in the northeast, isn't it? It'll never change. We used to do it. I remember when I started supporting the Boro. I was wet behind the ears at the grand old age of 4 years old. By 12, I was sitting at the front of the Boro Supporters Club buses as we would travel the country, and that included Plymouth, which is coming up not so far off in the distance. It's just part and parcel of being in the northeast. The northwest whinges, but we're that more further away from London and Birmingham than the northwest. Hey, so what? You got to travel.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to start racking the kilometres up as well. Obviously, Middlesbrough getting drawn to Exeter City on the 31st of October, but the week after that being obviously in the league, we're away to Plymouth Argyle as well for our first trip back down there. Obviously, since then getting promoted. So the K's will be racking up for Middlesbrough this season.
Everyone to Torquay on the beach, fellas. Everyone to Torquay on the beach.
It's going to be a big week of travel for the Boro fans, but we did show out in force 4,000 of the absolute best out to watch Middlesbrough get up against Bradford. And obviously we'll be going down to Watford as well this weekend. I'm sure it'll be similar numbers. 51,000 last night at Newcastle United to watch them get up against Man City. 41,000 at Sunderland last weekend. The North East, we're just the biggest footballing area in the world, aren't we?
That's why we have this show. Nobody else has got a show like this.
Exactly.
I love it. It is. It's great. No, it's fantastic. And the support we've got, you know, and the travelling fans and that, it never wavers, does it? Even when, obviously, Middlesbrough have had the tough start to the season, we've never seen the crowd numbers drop. We've seen Sunderland obviously coming back from League One. They've obviously racking up big numbers. 51,000 at Newcastle United for a midday, you know, for a midweek
Newcastle can't sell out St James's Park. That's all I'm saying.
Blame
all
Man
the
City.
buses were booked up by
Blame Man
Pep.
City.
We do need one thing, though, don't we? We're talking about this show. We're talking about the North East. We're talking about the passion for our clubs. We are missing a Mackem. Oh, guess who's just walked through the door? Hello, mate. How do you get on with the A66?
Oh, I tell you, the traffic this morning. The traffic this morning is awful out there. I live on Elm Street, and it was a nightmare on Elm Street.
Hey, well done.
The sunset this morning was killer. It was a view to a kill this morning. So, there we go.
He's got him revved up.
Do you know what? He's been sitting in that car and he's been thinking, I've got to practice before I walk through that door. But
I hope I get a mic when I walk in.
Yeah, perfect timing. So if you are a Mackem, get on this show. If you know... if you are a Mackem and you've got a mate who would be ideally suited for some banter, some crack, and get him on this show, then give us a shout. Get the emails into the cat, hello@thecatuk.com. You're a bit out of breath there, mate.
I am, yeah. It was a rush. It was a real rush, but we made it.
Okay. I was waiting for a Jennifer Rush track name to come out there.
I got two. That was as far as I went.
Okay. Right, fellas, it's all done and dusted. Daz is here. He can do mid-mornings. We're safe. We can be released.
I am weirdly feeling like a tikka masala for dinner tonight, so I might go treat myself.
Just get it. Don't forget, you've got to have one Monday morning with us on the breakfast show, mate. Good. See you then.
Tikka masala Mondays.
See ya.
Take care, lads. See you tomorrow.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink, Steve and Rye, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the northeast, the red, the tune, and the cat.